When I was young, I thought I understood love because of books and hearing people talk about it. And we all grow up knowing what love is, like we all grow up knowing what anger is, and sadness, and the beach, and home. And I loved my mom, and that was how I knew love. And I became a young adult, and I met people, and I thought I loved them. But someone pointed out to me the difference between a crush and love, and I learned that racing and that flush and that craving is a crush, not necessarily love. So I learned that love is something longer lasting, that has a calmness to it at the same time that it stirs you up. I learned the difference between that high note scream desire of a crush, that aching, crazy feeling, versus something deep and abiding, as they say in wedding ceremonies. I learned it intellectually, but I didn't know the full feeling of what love was just yet. Then a little later on, I dated people. And then I learned what I thought was love, but it was like. And I learned the difference between love and like. And then I dated people and had sex with people who I thought were perfect and beautiful, and they were artists or adventurers, and I was just swept away by them. It was love at first sight. But the ones who didn't reciprocate, and for whom I felt such a pull, such a fire burning, taught me the difference between love and infatuation. Infatuation disguises itself as love and tells you it's love so that it can perpetuate itself, so that you don't have to give up the feeling that you've found jewels, struck gold. But it doesn't last long, especially when you get to know the person. Because infatuation loves what you think they are and what you project on them, and not who they actually are. And only time and experience reveals who the person is. That's what dating is for. So you are in the lab with them over and over again, and you poke it with a stick and see what it does, and they poke you with a stick and see what you do, and over time you have fun, and you have frustration, and you have sadness, and you have joy, and you get to see them in each of these circumstances, and you learn who they are, what they're like, how they respond to good times and bad times. And my father started to teach me things about what I was going through, and when I broke up with someone, he told me to take some time off and just be with me. And I started to learn about loving myself, liking myself, spending time with myself. And I learned the difference between a feeling of love that was local to me about just living, waking up in my bed and feeling comfortable with my life, feeling comfortable with my bed, liking the choices I made for clothes and decorating my house and the things that I did, and appreciating myself. Versus that constant hunt for something on the outside that you want, that's going to be so great. So great. Finally you'll be satisfied. If only. Why hasn't it? I learned that difference. And then I met someone out one night when I had decided to turn off all dating and all sexual escapades and give 'em up. So unexpectedly I met this person, and I was taken with him as soon as he whispered into my ear, "Well, I write poetry." That was something about him that I loved. And we dated. And I loved his gentleness, and I loved the way that he cared about me and treated me with respect and politeness. And it's nice to be treated that way, but the thing I loved about it, and that made me love him about it, was that he was a person who knew to treat someone with respect and gentleness. And I admired that quality. And he had a kind of warm humanity, a gentle, warm humanity that I found beautiful and admired and loved. And I learned what love is. Love is love. When you have a feeling sweep over you, unbidden by anything in your own mind, but triggered by the characteristics, behavior, and choices of another person, the who of another person, who that person is. You just think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you don't have a choice about it. You don't know why. You just do. We broke up. And it was painful because I did love him. And then I learned how to garden my happiness and take care of myself, which takes love. You have to admire yourself and treat yourself like the person that you love, like you would treat anyone that you really loved and respected. You have to do that. And you have to be conscious about it. Happiness doesn't just come. You have to make a choice to treat yourself with that love. Every day must be Valentine's Day for your true love, who is yourself. So buy yourself the good stuff. Make your bed welcoming for you. Love yourself. And as I've gone on in the years, I've met people, and because that door was opened, I've fallen in love with pieces of people, and sometimes many pieces of people, and sometimes whole people. I love getting triggered by who people are, what they do, how they do it. It's delightful. And sometimes I can't have those people. I can't be with them. I can't be theirs, and they can't be mine. But it doesn't stop the feeling. Sometimes I cry when I think how much I love that person who is in that city, who I spent time with. And I was right. He was wonderful, and I love him as much as I know him. But you know what? It's like having a bottle of fine port. You get to taste the wonderful flavor. And port has a sting from the alcohol, and it has the sweetness of the grape. So you get that with that kind of unrequited love. You get the sweetness of the love and a little bit of the sting of the unrequitedness. But the sweetness is more and makes it worth experiencing. So love. Love when you're with someone you admire, who inspires you, who triggers a sense of awe. Love when you're with yourself. Love when you have lost. My father died. He had been away for many years. He had been senile and infirm, and I had said goodbye 10 or 20 times before he died. But then he died. And the absence, the sudden absence of the hymn of him struck me like a boulder rolling down a hill. And I realized in my weeping that all of my tears were love. I wept because I loved that man, that fucked up, miserable, angry, funny, brilliant, musical, charming, generous, kind, thoughtful man. Sadness and love at the same time. A beautiful rain. A beautiful rain. Love is worth experiencing as rain and rainbow. I love you. Love. Go on, do it.